Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire.
What does asbestos management mean to you?
I used to really struggle with the asbestos management at my site, but now it's a breeze.
It used to be really expensive. I was paying loads, but now I've got my asbestos power team in place. It's so much easier.
Asbestos can be a pain in the arse if not handled right.
We had to stop the job because asbestos was discovered. Now we don't have that problem.
Asbestos management is easier than you think. Asbestos management. Be proactive, not reactive. Think about asbestos first, not last.
And now your hosts, best-selling authors and asbestos experts, Ian Stone and Neil Munro.
Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire. I'm Ian Stone.
I'm Neil Munro.
So today we're talking about Regulation 5s. And Regulation 5 is the identification of the presence of asbestos.
Yeah, there's lots of information out there about Regulation 4, isn't there? And lots of people sort of talk about that. And
Reg 4 is the big daddy of all the regs.
Yeah, and generally that's kind of what we're sort of working to and advising clients on the best way to sort of manage your asbestos, etc. But lots of people don't quite know or don't realise the actual requirement under Regulation 5.
No, exactly. There's massive implications. And that's the thing, there are massive implications with Reg 5. I think we've spoken before about that they kind of come from different angles. But like Neil said, Reg 4 is massively publicised and spoken about generally, whereas Reg 5 not really covered that much.
Yeah, although we do say massively sort of advertised and stuff like that. But
within the industry.
I was going to say, but yet.
Between me and him.
There's still loads and loads of people who don't even realise what Regulation 4, but that's a different podcast, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, we're going off on a tangent. We're going to get on our high horse about why don't more people know about Reg 4, but let's leave that one.
So kind of these two regulations are kind of asking for similar things, aren't they?
Yes.
So identification of the presence of asbestos. So in summary, what's the crack? What's it all about?
It's trying to keep people safe in a similar manner to Reg 4, but it's coming at it from a different angle. So
this is from the employer's side, isn't it? Identifying the presence of asbestos.
Exactly. It puts the responsibility and the duty onto the employer to identify asbestos before work starts.
Yeah, so before any building maintenance or demolition work.
Exactly that. So this covers not only the non-domestic market, but also the domestic market as well. So all the regulations do cover non-domestic properties. And where Reg 5 kind of kicks in and is that overlap and that overlay is, like Neil said, if we're doing a project in a domestic property, the responsibility on the employer is to identify if asbestos is present before work starts. Yeah. That's the long and short of it. So you can ask Mrs. Smith down the road, before I start, please can I have a copy of your asbestos survey? Now, Mrs. Smith's not as sad as Neil and I. She's not going to have a copy of an asbestos management survey or a refurb survey. So kind of at that point, that's when the duty kicks in, and instead of just cracking on with the works, the employer must make sure that area is safe before the guys go in to go and carry out their works.
Yeah, now this might be including assessing the information that's already present, isn't it? So, for instance, in the situation where it is a commercial property or a non-domestic property, there may be already existing information. The duty holder may have had the survey completed in relation to the works. Yeah. So it might be just a case of reviewing what's existing and making sure that that's adequate for what they're going to do.
Yeah, make sure it's fit for purpose. They could have had a refurb survey.
Yeah.
It could be a massive stately home type project, which it's a domestic property still, but it's on an industrial scale. And the size of those works, the contractors getting involved, will definitely be asking and requesting that.
Yeah, I was just thinking then, what, in our experience, what's the sort of mix on when we're talking about refurbishment? Is it the duty holder usually that gets the survey done, or the contractor? I was just trying to think then, what would you say the split was? Would you say it's 50-50, or
I'd say
it's more on
the contractor side?
Contractor side?
Yeah, I'd say it's heavily on the contractor side, probably even at 80-20, something like that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation really, because I know we've got some large retail clients and stuff like that, and generally the client sorts those out, but then the big construction projects are usually down to the contractor, aren't they? I don't know.
So do you mean just on the domestic side or
No,
overall?
just overall.
Okay, I was thinking from the domestic side.
No,
who takes the lead
on the domestic side, because like you said,
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith's not going to have it, is she?
No, but it's a funny one though, because when you think about the stuff that we do, sometimes we're doing these refurbishment surveys, but the thing is, it might be the client that's instructed us.
Yeah.
However, the contractor's actually
Has
said,
organised it.
I want a survey doing.
Yeah.
Can you get it done? Or can you go to these guys? Because they don't want the contractual obligations of paying us and all of that. So the lines are a bit blurred.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely on the domestic market, it's contractor-led.
Yeah.
Although saying that, it's not contractor-led enough for my liking.
No, definitely not. Okay, so basically, in the ideal world, all the information is available. They've got everything, and all they've got to do is review it and make sure it's adequate.
Yeah.
If it's not adequate, then they have to go down the survey route, don't they?
Yes, definitely.
So identifying whether their work's going to impact or likely to disturb asbestos. So the only way they're going to have that is to have a survey carried out, isn't it?
And when we talk about works as well, I just want to clarify what I mean by works. Because when you think of refurbishment or stuff, it's anything that's going to disturb the fabric of the building. So that could be knocking down the exterior wall and having a massive extension put on the house. Or it could be having the boiler system replaced. So it's kind of, I think in a lot of people's minds, in my own mind, I kind of don't see that as refurb works. I see that as, I'm having a new boiler fitted.
Yeah.
But it's still classed as the refurbishment works because you are disturbing the fabric of the building.
Yeah. Or it could be, not labelled as refurbishment. It could be sort of intrusive maintenance work. So like the boiler could be classed as, that's just maintenance. I'm having a new boiler, but I'm not actually replacing any of the pipes or
just literally
stuff like that.
Yeah, taking the boiler out and putting a new one in onto the same system.
So don't be confused by the word refurbishment, because it may not be a refurb.
Yeah.
It could be redecoration, but as part of that redecoration, I'm going to be putting a new flue pipe into, or a new grill onto the flue surround for my boiler, etc., like that.
That is a funny one. It's like, what do you class as refurb? And it all falls under it. However,
I'm having a new laminated floor put in.
Yeah, ripping up the old floor and the new floor. Well, that's not a refurb, is it?
No, it's just a bit of
just a new floor.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That does confuse people.
But as you rightly said, it's anywhere any type of works which is disturbing the fabric of the building. Definitely. So the regulations actually does say something specific which you may not be aware of, and if they don't do any of this, what do they have to do? They have to presume that asbestos is present, don't they?
Yes, exactly that. So essentially, you can't do your job.
Yeah. If you're not going to do any of that, then you have to presume, and it's written in the regulation, that asbestos is present, and you have to take the appropriate control measures required by the regulations. And that may include getting a licensed contractor in if required.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are taking a wall out and you haven't had a survey done, well, you've got to presume that wall's asbestos and deal with it accordingly, which is kind of a ridiculous way to go about that project. Like, I don't know why you would never have that area surveyed.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense financially, does it?
No, definitely not.
If you've got to presume that, okay, I'm taking this wall out, it may be plasterable, but because I haven't checked it, I'm not going to hire a licensed contractor to take it down just in case, because that just does not make sense.
No.
If we're looking at what does the contractor, just to give them a bit of information, or even the client, need to look at or check when assessing if the asbestos information is accurate or not. So
if a client has a survey done, it's all very well and good saying, I've got a survey, but what you need to do is actually make sure that it is accurate and it has been carried out by someone who's competent.
Yeah, competent, okay.
Yeah, and what is competency?
Where do we go on competence on inspection and surveys?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, competency for re-inspections, it says that somebody needs to have knowledge, training, experience, and other qualities. God knows what the other qualities are.
Yeah, but there's no sort of label on or timescales or
any of it.
Yeah. Exactly. So what is adequate sort of training, and what's adequate experience, and what's adequate qualifications? It's quite open-ended, isn't it?
It is, and that's it. That's from the re-inspection side, which is separate to this. But I just wanted to say that to show, I don't know, how competency is kind of spoken about and assessed. But realistically, competency for asbestos surveys, it can be quantified. There's UCAS accreditation out there, which provides a level of competency and kind of a level to show that the company has got to that point. However, it goes further than that, to the point of the asbestos surveyor. How do you define that they're competent?
Yeah, and particularly down to the individuals.
The individual surveyor who's come into your property to do the survey. All very well and good. The survey companies, I don't know, have been around for 20 years and they've got UCAS accreditation and CHAS and all these other things. But how do you know the individual surveyor that's coming to do your survey is good enough?
Yeah, and the survey's only going to be as good as that individual surveyor or surveyors.
Exactly that. That's literally it.
You can have the best company in the world, but if the surveyor's rubbish, you're going to have a rubbish survey.
If they started with the company 6 months ago, passed their P402... or
straight out on the tools doing a big commercial refurbishment survey.
Yeah, that's never going to end very well. So that's definitely one thing to check. So competency, it's not just competency of the company, it's the actual individual. So if I was employing somebody to come and survey my house, I would ask for reference. I want to see their CV. I want examples of other properties that they've surveyed that are similar to mine.
Yeah, how many have they surveyed?
One?
Or was it hundreds?
I don't know. They could say, I've done houses. I've done loads of houses. Well, I might live in a 18th century barn that's had asbestos in it and all the rest of it over the years and been knocked about. But this surveyor that's come in to survey my house, he might have only ever surveyed terraced houses.
Yeah.
And it's completely different.
Yeah, definitely. So what else do they need to check? So they need to have a look at the actual building layout.
Yeah.
That's really important. So does the survey actually cover the areas where you're going to be working in? Have they gone as far as they need to within that survey and the plan to make sure it all matches up? Because you may have a refurbishment survey for, number one, the high street, but only included the ground floor where we're doing works on the first floor.
Yes.
So it's really important to check that it is, yes, the right building, but is it the right location within that building? Yeah,
and that's it. And with projects, they do change over time. And I think it's something that we've found and identified over the years. The domestic side, there's kind of more changes than there are commercially. Commercially, plans are laid out and the project kind of cracks on. And essentially, the end goal looks like it was planned at the beginning. However, we've seen on numerous domestic projects where the domestic homeowner who's managing the project themselves, things get undertaken and then halfway through they change their mind. So an extension's built to a certain point and they then change their mind on how they want it to look or where the windows go.
Yeah, which is quite common, isn't it? You know, as construction projects advance and the client changes their mind, etc., things change all the time. And it's just making sure that it is adequate still, isn't it?
And that's it. So it's one, checking that the survey report is adequate when you start the project, but it's also to make sure that it keeps on being adequate if there are changes made.
Yeah.
If walls are taken out that weren't originally allowed for, or like I say, windows are moved from one wall to the other wall or whatever, you need to make sure that refurb survey did cover off those elements. And if not, then it goes back to kind of reset and you either have to presume there's asbestos there or you have to identify asbestos before you start those works.
So that might mean going back, getting the surveyor to go back to check those areas.
Exactly.
The actual survey report.
Exactly. Come in and check those areas, because that's the thing. Things do change in projects. And I mean, I'm a nightmare. If I have stuff done, I kind of change my mind halfway through. So, I completely understand it from that point of view.
One important thing, particularly if you're reviewing previous information, maybe historical survey reports, which we kind of advise contractors, if you're picking up this information, is if you get a copy of the survey report, go to site, because you're going to be going to site anyway, and take it with you and make sure that it does match up and it does look right. For instance, look at the survey report, look at the photos within it, and does that actually match the asbestos that's been identified or what's been sampled? Does it all tally up? That's a really important thing, because sometimes layouts change, stuff might be overboxed, it may not be relevant to those areas. So always take the survey report to site and actually review it to see and look at all the different items within there before you crack on, to make sure that you're comfortable and that the survey report is adequate.
That's a very good point. You've got to be comfortable with the information.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that information...
Can you make sense of it actually on site?
Can the people on site...
Job starts?
Yeah, can the people on site doing the works, do they understand what's within that report? Do they know that that page identifies asbestos that they shouldn't go near?
Yeah.
Can they see it on the plan? Does the plan match up to the building, and they understand where it is in that building?
Yeah. Or, worst case, have you seen stuff on site which is not in the report that you're concerned about before you actually start the job? Because we all know that, if you identify asbestos during projects, generally speaking, there's going to be a delay, and delays always cost money.
They do indeed.
So I think that pretty much covers Regulation 5.
Yeah, I mean, just as a breakdown, like we said earlier, it's coming at it from the point of view for contractors going into somewhere. Well, one thing I didn't say earlier, or we didn't say, was it even covers on the non-domestic side. So if you go to a non-domestic property and they've got nothing, it still covers that market, even though they should be covered by Reg 4. It's like one all-encompassing overarching reg that's trying to stop people being exposed to asbestos.
Yeah, basically that regulation is there to stop people coming in, cracking on refurb works, disturbing the fabric of building, disturbing asbestos and exposing people. In a nutshell. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Don't forget to join us on our Facebook community page, Asbestos Knowledge Empire. Please come and join us there, because we are looking for people to contribute to our community.
We've had quite a few people join. There's a few posts going on there, and it is building slowly but surely. So, yeah, come and join us.
Yeah, and in there you can obviously ask and request any information, any subjects you want covered on the podcast.
Definitely. If there's something of burning desire, a burning issue, something you want us to talk about, let us know. We'll gladly cover it off for you.
Great. So, yeah, remember, asbestos first, not last.